What is up, YouTube? For the last 15 years of my life, I trained just like a bodybuilder, and now I'm switching things up. Currently, I'm in a phase right now where I'm working specifically on my strength. I'm trying to increase my squat, bench, and deadlift, primarily focusing on bench and deadlift. So I'm gonna show you guys what I'm doing right now, why my program's structured how it is, and you guys can take from it, hopefully, some things that help. All right, so this first exercise I'm focusing on is a deficit snatch grip deadlift. So by lifting my feet off the ground on plates or a platform, whatever you have, and doing a wider grip, I'm getting the longest range of motion I really can get. The snatch grip allows me to strengthen my upper back, which will help with my bench. Because a huge thing that drives bench progress is your upper back strength, being able to lock in. Also, it'll help my posture. I'm always trying to fight my forward neck posture. Since I was like a kid, I've had that. So I'm always trying to add that into my program where it makes sense. And again, this forces me to do a weaker load because you're not as strong in a deeper stretch, lengthened position, but also build the coordination and strength that I need to be able to deadlift a lot in the future. So first movement, exactly like that, slow tempo. But this is the first movement in progressing into a strong ass deadlift by the end of this. Tempo is a huge thing at which my training revolves around and will help with hypertrophy or strength goals, whatever it may be. And that comes in like a 4-digit thing, like 40x0. The first number is always a negative. So a 4-second negative, 0-second pause. X means up as fast as possible, 0. Building my strength. I'm trying to rebuild coordination and movements I haven't done in a while. So the quickest way to rebuild that is to have a longer eccentric part of the movement. So that 4, that initial, instead of like a drop the bar or go down really fast and up really fast, it's a slow negative because I'm retraining the muscles in my body that are already strong, that already know how to do this, that just lost some of the coordination. I'm retraining them how to handle that load. So I need to lock in my form again. It's one of the best ways to do it. Should I keep the bug on for good luck? Yeah. Might be a little uneven. My right glute erector trap are gonna be a little bit stronger. That's what we call micro loading.
Justin would be proud.
Every fraction of an ounce counts.
What made you want to start strength training now?
I feel like some of my favorite memories in the gym are deadlifting really heavy. It's not even about the load, it's just about how it feels when you pick it up. And unless you're training for strength, I feel like you don't get that. And I feel like I've seen so many people go the functional route. They lose weight, they start running, then they get so weak in the process. And I'm like, if functional means getting rid of all your strength, I don't want to be functional. I was like, you know what? Let's do a big strength phase. And then once I build it back up, it'll be much easier to maintain going forward. Whew. All right, so next exercise is the safety bar good morning. Goal of this is hitting more of the lengthened and mid aspect of the hamstring. So it's actually gonna hit my hamstrings more than the deficit deadlift. Straight up and down, where my hamstrings are in the shortest position, there's no load on them because my joints are stacked. But as I lean forward, it gets heavier and heavier and heavier and heavier. So when they're in the lengthened position, I have the most amount of load on my hamstring. And the goal is for my body to be able to control the inertia into that position. And we're doing it intentionally after, because this is very specifically targeting my hamstring. That with pure strength overloading, like practically full body.
When you were at your peak, you were actually as strong as you look.
Some dude came to my house the other day. He's like, was working on something and he said something. I was like, do you need something from me? He's like, oh yeah, I need to arm wrestle. He's like, just kidding, just kidding. People always make that joke. I'm like, don't worry, man, I'm all show, no go. Bodybuilders are all about how you look, not about how strong you are. So I would say if someone looked at me when I was like 260 with abs, like lean and huge, they're probably like, oh my God, this guy's probably like deadlifting 700 pounds, benching 500-600 pounds, like all these crazy things. And you'll see a powerlifter who's significantly less volume in their muscle, less weight than me lifting more, because we're just training for such different specific things. Probably to the average person, I was weaker than they would have thought I was based off looking at me, which is kind of sad. I feel like training like a bodybuilder doesn't inherently mess up your body, but a lot of patterns that come with it do. Like, let's say I'm benching, my shoulder hurts. I don't need to bench because I'm a bodybuilder, so I'm gonna move on to dumbbell. And then that can start to hurt, then I can move on to a machine. And you can avoid doing things by moving on to different exercise because the goal is just muscle growth. That was a heavy lisp. That was a heavy lisp. That's muscle growth. Damn. We're back.
Right there is why you make products.
Yeah, that's why my pre-workout's called Savage. T-Bone's making a comeback. The fuck was I saying? The goal is muscle growth, not the movement, so you can avoid it without fixing the injury, rather than, hey, my bench hurts my shoulder, fix your fucking shoulder because you should be able to bench. And on top of that, as a professional bodybuilder, you're on a timeline. So I tore hamstrings, labrums, supraspinatus, lat, all these things in prep. So there's no recovering from that. There's, okay, take a couple days off, put some peptides and stem cells in there and get back to it. And that's where you build chronic injuries that take much more time to recover from. And that's what I had to do, because my goal was to win Olympias. It wasn't to have healthy shoulders or whatever. It was, I have an Olympia in 4 weeks. I don't care if there's a hole in my hamstring. I'm training legs next week because I need to win an Olympia. So I would say I could have been smarter in my bodybuilding career, and if I hadn't if I hadn't chosen to compete at all costs at the Olympia and give myself more time off, and I chosen to rehab more efficiently, I would have absolutely come out of this career much less injured than I was, but I did. No regrets, you know? And it was 6 Olympia, so I can't really complain. If you don't fix an injury now, you're gonna pay for it later. Just the way it goes. It's definitely worth mentioning, specifically to strength. Training in general, but strength especially, logging your weights is so important. Being able to be more specific allows you to drive more progress, specifically progressive overload and strength training. So part of the goals of my training right now is to have a specific intensity spread between sets. So if I'm doing 4 to 5 sets, the goal is to have a 15 to 20% load difference in all of those. And the goal as the program progresses is to bring that tighter and tighter and tighter. So I have 10% intensity spread, which means I'm doing more work capacity because my weight is higher for more sets. So those kind of things are super important in strength training. And we just did a massive update for the standard app. And one of the big things we did was the ability to track your loads. And when you look at your load that you've done in the past, you can see your lifetime load and the loads that you've done in the current program that you're on. I've been tracking on my phone because my programs are made specifically for me by Justin. But because he did such a specific assessment on me, he's like, okay, you want to increase your deadlift. I know your upper back and your glutes in this form are weaker, so we're gonna start with a deficit that's specific to Chris Bumstead. That's where the standard coaching comes in too, is that the coaching side of the business is very specifically tailored to one person. There's a massive assessment on your body, physical, mentally, everything your program's made for you. All that to say, if you're doing a program, regardless of how tailored it is to you, the more specifically you log your weights and you're aware of your intensity spread and your progressive overload over time, the more progress you will make. All right, C-series, superset, hip flexion with seated calf raise. This would be in part, Justin would say, because Chris wants to have his cake, eat it, and have ice cream on the way home. So these are things that are closely related to strength, but also lacking in my ability to run. So my hip flexors are extremely weak. Never trained them as a bodybuilder. So I've been doing a bunch of exercises just lengthen and strengthen my hip flexors, help realign my pelvis. And on top of that, my soleus is the weaker part of my calf. Helps you with running. In this program too, I have 1 day a week where I'm doing like a little bit of jogging intervals, and not enough to the point where it's like I'm increasing my cardio, but it's just getting my body used to the ability to run while also not taking away from the demand and the volume of strength training, which is my highest priority in this current phase.
What are you trying to get out of this new program?
Stronger. Quite literally though. I feel like this is just my comeback of, there's been so many things I had to do to get my body prepped to be able to do some more athletic stuff, to feel a little bit better, all this stuff, and I neglected strength training and I missed it a lot because you're not seeing the same progress, you're not getting that same feeling, and I just missed that aspect of training. So in part of it, I was hoping to get just like a little bit of excitement and love back for training, because I fucking love working out. And even when I don't like what I'm doing, I'm here every day because I love working out. So the goal was to fall back in love with like training again, slow things down, a little bit less volume, a little bit more load, and just get strong and just have that feeling of strength again, like I said, because there's nothing that quite compares. What's so beautiful about fitness and working out, it's just such a specific, controlled area where you can put in effort, see progress, and move towards the goal. Yeah, so I've spoken about the Jack Leet testing a lot, and we did a tidbit of it, and I hurt myself, and we're like, yeah, we weren't really supposed to be doing that, it was just kind of for fun. Pulled back a little bit, and now I'm following like a 3-month progression to get ready to do some more testing, which will be like a squat, bench, dead, a sprint, a jump, a ball throw, a test of explosive power and strength and speed. So I'm gonna get my strength up, I'm gonna get back into running, pushing different limits, jumping, all the things, and then we'll be ready to fucking blast some testing away and see if I can actually complete the testing, get some baselines for myself. And then when I have a baseline of testing, my training going forward can be continuously trying to improve those specific numbers.
How did you figure out what your weak links are, and then how did you like program around those weak links?
I mean, I didn't, but I can call Justin and ask him. If he answers his phone, he's not working hard enough. What up, loser? How did you determine what my weak points were, and how did that adjust into this program to counteract them?
There's testing that we can do on Chris's body that, based on the knowledge in my head and on what he's feeling, we can know what movement patterns and muscles are weakest. So from that, and then also like, I don't even know how long we've been working together now. It's been a minute. But there's historical data as well that has let us know that mixing those two worlds together, there are specific weaknesses, and then there are methods and strategies and training types that directly target those things. Then we periodize it out over 17 weeks and just get freaking huge and strong and fast.
And that's why the deficit deadlift is because specifically in the deadlift, my erectors and glutes are weaker, and that accentuates them much more.
That's right, yeah. You can train your deadlift till you're blue in the face, but you'll always be limited by the weakest link. So we chose an exercise that emphasized that position more, the like most lengthened position, like super, super deep deficit and snatch grip to target upper back, erectors, glutes. And then later on, you'll be stronger in your deadlift because we prioritize the weakest link first.
So yeah, what he said. But yeah, that's a wrap on week 1 of this phase of strength training, which is 4 to 5 weeks, depending on how I progress. The wrap on lower day 2. This is my 4th workout. I have a upper, lower, upper, lower. The first lower is front squats. This one's the deadlifts. So we're gonna be doing this exact workout for the next 4 to 5 weeks, building strength, increasing loads, tightening that intensity spread, like I said, and moving on. So yeah, hopefully you guys took some shit from this if you guys are trying to get strong. Like I said, if you're trying to get jacked and strong, athletic, all the things, you can do it in phases. Get strong for a while, and then you can maintain that strength more easily in other phases. But if you're not specifying what your goals are and what you're trying to hit in each phase, you're probably gonna be, what's that saying? Jack of all trades, master of none. Even though that's exactly what I'm trying to be, but you're trying to be a good jack of all trades, not a shitty jack of all trades, master of none. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hope you appreciate the video. See you next time.